Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Riflechair Adventure channel. Husqvarna. Some of you call it Husqvarna, kind of the Anglo pronunciation of the word, but I think most of the Swedes would agree, or maybe they wouldn't, but the proper pronunciation is Husqvarna. They make chainsaws, make awesome chainsaws. They make motorbikes, some of the best in the world, and a whole array of different equipment. Lots of forestry equipment, pruning, clippers, pruning shears, and so on. Awesome tools, quality, high quality steel. That's kind of the reputation that Husqvarna has. And in front of you, you have a Husqvarna rifle. Now, many people that own Husqvarna rifles have a tendency to hang on to them and not sell them. They use them, and then it gets handed down to the next generation, and then that generation uses the rifle, put moose or deer or caribou, elk on the table, whatever, and just gets handed down, passed down through the generations. There is a very, very proud musketry heritage associated with the company known as Husqvarna, who kind of took over, Carl Gustaf did their thing, and then Husqvarna kind of took it off from there. But these are sporting rifles, not military rifles. Some of them have a military rifle ancestry, but they are all built to be sporting rifles, hunting rifles. And in this particular situation, what I have here is a Model 98 Mauser. Excuse me. So, what is kind of a 20,000 foot level view of the company so far as manufacturing hunting rifles for the civilian market? It's not a subject of discussion, and so I'm going to tell you why you might want to think about caring about that. Why should I care about Husqvarna? I mean, it's old technology. That was yesterday. I'm more looking forward to the future and what the most modern technology is going to be able to provide me of CNC milling and machinery and manufacturing processes, ultra high tolerances, and I want the latest and greatest Winchester. I want the latest and greatest Remington. I want the latest and greatest Savage. I want the latest and greatest this or that. Why am I continually bringing up these older platforms? Well, first of all, you'll see a lot of YouTube channels that will actually pursue something like Remington or Savage and all those different companies because, well, maybe they're going to be making a little bit more revenue by doing so. Maybe even sponsorship by these manufacturing companies. They'll provide a rifle for free in exchange for you to make a YouTube video about it. Do you think I'm going to be making any money off pushing this? So why would I do it? Well, I'll tell you why. That's the purpose of this video. Hunting rifles are, in many ways, going to be operating in less than laboratory conditions. They're going to be getting dirty. They need to be rugged and reliable. Almost military kind of ruggedness is kind of what you need for a good quality hunting rifle. That's my own personal opinion. Whether it's a 1903 Springfield that's been remanufactured into a sporting rifle or a Model 98 Mauser. So Husqvarna looked at that. Okay, we have this large surplus. We have these large stores of small ring Mausers and large ring Mausers. We're going to manufacture them into a hunting rifle for the civilian market. Absolutely top quality and reliability, in my opinion. If you're looking for an ultra lightweight rifle, you wouldn't consider something like this. Anyway, so let's kind of go into a brief history of the Model 98 Mausers that were manufactured by Husqvarna. And then we'll get in a little bit closer to the rifle. I'll give you some close-ups, kind of show you what it is that I'm talking about. First of all, a description of this rifle, and then we'll go into the history. This is a commercial Model 98 Mauser. It does not have the stripper clip reloading groove and cut into the receiver like a military Model 98 would. This is a commercial Mauser, so it is a flat bridge along the left panel. Does not have the stripper clip thumb groove. It is a Model 98 Mauser. It is a large ring Model 98 Mauser, and it has a side scope bracket so that you can see underneath the objective of the scope to hit the rear and the front sight. So you have two sighting options all at once. everything about it is essentially very true to the nature of the Model 98, and it even retains the bolt shroud safety. There's no side safety on this model. So Fabrique Nationale manufactured the Large Ring 98 Mauser actions for Husqvarna, who assembled them into these rifles. Fabrique Nationale in Belgium. So these are Belgian Mausers. Okay, that's number one. That's something very important to me, because Belgian Mausers are probably amongst some of the world's best Model 98s. These 98s were manufactured from the 1930s well up into the 1950s. Now they're in the formative years, in the 1930s, well into the 1940s, they used military Model 98 Mausers. Okay, so they had the cutout for the stripper clip thumb groove milled into the action, and they were the models 146, 246, 646, 648, and 649. That's how they had their model designations. They were just 3 digits, three numbers. You got a Model 146. The only problem with that is that some of the small ring Mausers also had the same model designation. So you need to know if it's a small ring or a large ring action Mauser when you say if it's going to be a Model 146, for example, Husqvarna. So they made those between the 1930s and the 1950s. Okay, so they're Large Ring Model 98 Mausers. And then they came out with a new model, which was a commercial FN Mauser, which does not have the reloading groove on the side of the receiver. It's a flat, solid left panel on the receiver. It's a commercial FN action. So, and these started coming onto the market in the late 1940s, and this is one of those rifles. It is a commercial 98, and they had 3 model designations with the commercial FN Mauser, with a solid left panel: the Model 646, the Model 648, and the Model 649. 3 models. And you will note, if you closely examine this rifle, there's no model designation on it. There isn't. You just need to know, kind of, I guess you do maybe a serial number search or something like that. I don't even know where the database is. So it's going to be one of those 3 models. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those 3 models. Does not have the strip clip thumb groove. Now all of the small and large ring Mauser actions were replaced starting in 1953, and they were replaced by what they called the improved Mauser action. Okay, it's essentially a small ring Model 98, except that the bolt release is this tiny little tab, and I don't particularly like them. They are a 98 Mauser, yes they are, but they're different. They are improved. I don't think it's an improvement, personally, myself. Lots of people love them, and I respect that, because they are still a fabulous rifle. But I prefer the old FN Model 98s. Now the improved Mauser action was designated the Model 1640 series, or some people just call them the 1600 series. And they're in many ways a lightweight Mauser. They're very lightweight, and I believe they actually had a featherweight or a feather light designation, some of them. And then in 1967, all of the control round feeding Mausers were just stopped. They stopped manufacturing them, and they came out with the 1900 series of Husqvarna, which was a push feed action, and it was the very last rifle Husqvarna ever made. Some people love them, some people hate them. I know what I can say about them is that they're beautiful rifles, and they have gorgeous wood, beautiful walnut. This one here is Stockton Beech, but the 1900, the push feed, was basically the death knell for Husqvarna. That was the end of them. In any case, I chose this specific rifle for a reason, and we'll turn the camera around, get some close-ups of it, and show you what I mean. Here we have a close-up of the Husqvarna, and what you may or may not be able to see are these 2 little holes right here. One here, one here. And what those holes do, let's see if I can zoom in here. Okay, hole here, and the hole here. And they got filler screws in there right now. And my camera is not liking to focus, so I'll zoom out. Anyway, the purpose of those two holes is to facilitate a peep sight. Here what we have is the Lyman sight from Middlefield, Connecticut, USA. This is the Model 57 FN micrometer receiver sight for the FN Mauser. These have the stay set knobs, and this came from Sidney I. Robinson probably way back in the day for $12.75. And this is an absolutely gorgeous all steel receiver mounted peep sight. You got the receiver holes here, which screw into there. I have to remove a little bit of wood here from this side of the Mauser, but essentially it just kind of bolts in like that. Just like so. And in this case, you don't even need to remove the scope, but I'm actually not going to be keeping the scope on here. I'm going to be putting the original scope that came with this rifle. Whoops, back onto it. Because, as you can see right now, the rifle is cocked. A bit of a didn't foresee this until I tested it recently. I can't get the safety to fully engage. Like, it's still safe. It's cocked, and I can't. I've safetied this obviously already, but I cannot get the the cocking piece to fall. But still, so I'm going to be putting the old Weaver that was on here, kind of the what this rifle came with. It's a Weaver K4W, which is for wide view. This is a fantastic scope. This is an absolutely fantastic scope. I believe these were made in El Paso, Texas. Quarter minute adjustments. You know, if you got a nickel or something like that, you can stick that in the turret and adjust it. All steel tube, and it's a fabulous scope. The quality of the imagery is really, really good. I'm probably going to put this back on, just so I can have free reign of the safety there. So, just different sighting options that are just fundamentally built into the design of the rifle. Beautiful Swedish cipher on here, Sweden stamped, and the rear sight is peened into place. Okay, so that can be a bit of a bugger to get out or to adjust. Excuse me. Let's move over to the other side and have a look. I should first of all maybe comment that the wood on these rifles, so I'm not sure when this particular rifle was manufactured. It was probably in the mid 40s to the mid 50s. But this beechwood is renowned for splitting behind the tang. This beechwood, and you'll see a very, very slight crack right here in the tang. It is very, very common amongst these rifles for various reasons. I don't think they're ever properly bedded, but these were a working rifle. I mean, these things were getting, they're out in Europe, they're in the forest, they're hunting, they're boar hunting, they're moose hunting, they're doing whatever they do, and these were working rifles, made to take punishment, right? So a lot of this wood is swollen, it's taken recoil, and when that happens, the stocks do have a tendency to split right here. It's a tiny little micro crack. It doesn't bother me. I figure if it's lasted this long and it still shoots, then you know, it's doing its job. So let's turn the rifle around and look at it from the other side. Here we go. So here is the other side of the rifle. Here you can see one of the former owners has written his serial number into the receiver, and unfortunately, it's also found in other areas of the rifle. He's got his serial number, his social insurance number. Anyway, one of the cool things about these rifles is that you can just take the scope off. Seriously cool. Now, there were a number of different manufacturers that built these rails for Husqvarna. There were German brackets, there were Danish brackets, there were Swedish brackets, there were Finnish brackets. So they came from different manufacturers. This one is all aluminum. And It is very, very tight fit. There's a recoil lug at the front because when obviously you recoil a rifle, it has a tendency for the scope wants to drift forward whenever you shoot the rifle. So the lug is at the front, and just a couple of tension knobs. You can actually get it pretty tight. You can adjust for windage. However, with modern scope technology, there's no real need to do with that. You know, it's when the field of view moves versus the actual reticle. Mosquitoes are out today. Anyhow, so that's pretty cool, and you can see underneath the objective here at the rear sight, and see the front sight quite clearly if you absolutely had to. You can see here in this area of the rifle, it's taken a fair amount of damage. I don't know what or how, but there's some bruising here in the wood. You know, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. The one thing that I am going to replace, however, is this recoil pad. It's very, very poorly done. A lot of farmers seem to be able to do their own gun plumbing. So I'm going to be putting this black Packmeyer white line recoil pad on there. It's going to extend the length of comb a little bit, but that's fine. The barrel on this rifle is something very interesting, and I would appreciate your input on how you think they did this. Okay, so the barrel on this 98 was a Swedish Model 96 barrel on 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser. How did they get this old military small ring Mauser threaded onto a large ring Model 98? The shank is different, so they would have had to have used some kind of a sleeve in between the receiver and the barrel shank. Be interested in your opinion as the practices that they use to achieve this. I mean, we're talking about the Swedes that did this, and they know their rifle, they know their musketry, they know their builds. They're exceedingly good at it. How did they do it? I'd be interested in any gunsmiths out there that have got some experience with these rifles to maybe chime in here down below and comment. But this barrel is around 27-28 inches long. It's an exceedingly long barrel, and as they were with the Model 96 Swedish Mauser. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with this rifle. Now, what I can tell you about the barrel on this rifle was the amount of copper that I got out of this barrel, I should say copper fouling, was incredible. It was really, really badly fouled up with copper. And of course, at the end of that, there was a tiny amount of frost, not just in the grooves, but on the lands as well. So there's going to be a break-in process for this barrel, and that's fine. What you'll also see is here, let me turn this around a little bit so you can see, is that the space in between, the stock was probably made for a different profile of barrel, so you will see a fair amount of space in between the stock and this barrel, this Model 96 Swedish Mauser barrel. And when I removed the barreled action from the wood, you should have seen all the different smegma and all kinds of pine needles and debris and insect droppings that were on the inside of the stock here. It was not quite a biohazard, but I thought that, I started laughing when I saw that. But that's what you will get when you have a large opening like this, right? It's not tight. At the same time, it is tight right in this area, and there's a dollop of glue, or I should say epoxy, right in the foretip area here, right? So there's no contact anywhere along this area here until you get to basically right underneath where the front sling swivel is. There's a dollop of bedding or compound right in this location to ensure there is good contact. The contour of the wood right along this area is very small. Easily you can get a small hand around this part of the rifle, right? So you can carry it. You can carry it at this location. It's no problem for small hands. But with the extra long barrel, it is obviously not a timber carbine. This is meant to be able to reach out and touch something at fairly long distances with precision and accuracy. The balance point on this rifle with this for trail carry is right around here, right where I've got it now. Okay, so this is not even underneath the action. You can see where the wire has been on the trigger. I should say the floor plate here. It is forward in this area here is where it's normally been carried, right? That's where the balance point is for when you're actually in the trail carry position, you're walking forward. This is where it's going to be. And also Husqvarna, instead of just relying on the old 98 Mauser, we actually have the old-fashioned, they put a different plunger system in order to remove the floor plate. You can see the release right here. It is proud, which is fine, and this works just Jim dandy. And the spring's got lots of tension in it still. No worries. So there's a real quick insight into the Fabrique Nationale Husqvarna partnership to manufacture these rifles, assembled in Sweden. The Large Ring Model 98 Mauser. And what an incredible rifle this is. Just nuts and bolts. Blood and guts. That's what these are. And I would put it up against any modern manufactured hunting rifle that you can buy today on the market. What is the retail cost for something like this? They're not really that terribly expensive. I picked this up for around $375. Now there are some things that I'm going to do to this rifle just off the bat. Obviously I'm going to replace the recoil pad like I previously stated. Probably going to look at the barrel channel, fixing that up a little bit, and probably I will, bed the rifle as well. The trigger is surprisingly nice, actually. I was expecting a two-stage military trigger, but it's not. There's no creep. Well, I say there is creep, but a tiny amount of creep. It does not break like a rod of glass. It doesn't. But you know what? There's not going to be a factory recall on this trigger, and it's lasted 60 years. So it's lasted that long. It's going to continue to last, and it's not worn out. It's not going to. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, and I may even just give it a nice new blue job and re-anodise the aluminum side bracket and call it a day. So the Remington fans, they're not going to like this video. They might, open-minded Remington fans. The Model 700, the Model 7, they're not really for me. I'm not really a big push feed fan. I like the control around feeding. I find they run really smooth. You can run them just as fast as a push feed, and in my opinion more reliably than a push feed. There is that. I think they're fantastic rifles for the money. Just be prepared. Think about what constitutes, in your opinion, a good field savvy, reliable hunting rifle. I think it's pretty hard to go wrong by choosing a Model 98 Mauser, even a Model 96 Mauser, but I prefer the 98s. But that's me. Riflechair signing off. Hope you're all doing well, and as always, Maple Leaf up.